Hello friends, this is Ganesh and video number 39 on ABAP. In this video, I'm going to explain the concept called memory in SAP or ABAP. So this memory, we have been used many scenarios, many developments. So we need some data to be transferred and that needs to be kept in some place, probably a temporary purpose, not the permanent one. So within the particular time period, I want this data to be available in a place and I can again retrieve it whenever is required. Okay, so that is the idea of memory over here. So temporary storage place where we can save our data and whenever is required, we can able to use it. To understand better on this memory, we have to understand the session. So technically we call it as internal session, external sessions. So we'll see how or what are the classification about these two, what are the things, the scenarios is coming under internal and external sessions. So once we are clear about that design, then writing a code is very simple. Okay, so let's get into the slide first. So first, memory at ABAP, there are two ways of memory. We call it as ABAP memory and another one is SAP memory. So ABAP memory is basically one second, transfer the informations between two different objects. It can be anything like development objects. I can say program, function, module, class and method, or another program, whatever it is. But the only condition between all these objects is all should be in the same internal session. So internal session means there is some dependency from a program. You have to call the function module. From a function module, you have to call the program, or you have to use a submit, you have to call another program. You can call a method which is available in a class. So everything is going to be interrelated for this particular scenario. Then only all your objects are available in one internal session. So one internal session, you want to transfer the data between two different objects, then you prefer to choose ABAP memory concept. The another one is SAP memory, almost same, but here two external sessions. It's like I have a program, I'm executing it, but I'm not internally call the other program, but still I want the second program also to be retrieve the data, which is what do you call the exported by another program. So here the memory is going to be act as a common place where the program from a different session is going to keep some data and the program from another session is going to retrieve the data. Okay, so this kind of scenario is called SAP memory. So it's not mandatory, the program needs to call the second program to transfer the information from the memory concept. Okay, so that is called external memory. In that scenario, you have to preferably use SAP memory concept. So there are two different sessions, depends on your scenario. You have to decide which one you want to go with, either ABAP memory or external called SAP memory. Simple. Okay. Now if you go to ABAP memory, we'll see the syntax and how we are going to move the informations between two different objects. So make sure all your objects or what are the objects you are communicating, that needs to be in the same session. So syntax is the first one, I'm going to export it, like I want to send the information to the memory from my program 1. So for the reference, I'm going to use the terms called program 1 and program 2. Program 1 is a source which is going to be send the information to the memory, and program 2 is going to receive the information from the memory. So the first one, program, is going to be export the data with the help of a syntax, export, and the variable. Variable is going to be a data medium where you're going to send the informations to memory ID and then ID name. Okay, within single quotes you can have your ID. ID name could be a dynamic, depends on your scenario. If you want a dynamic level, because sometimes they want to dynamically create the memory ID, it's a feasible solution. Based on your scenario, you can concatenate some values and make sure mostly we won't get a similar names going to be used by another developer, but the ideal solution would be concatenate along with your scenario some names or some numbers. Okay, so memory ID can be dynamic. And the other way, another way, like in the program 2, I want to receive the data from the memory. I'm going to use a syntax called import and the same variable name, and from memory ID name. So this is for keep the data in the memory, and this is for retrieve the data from the memory space. Okay. And the spelling and memory ID of the variable must be same. So here, this one I'm talking about, the variable actually is not spelling. The variable and ID name, memory ID name should be same. So it should not be the any spelling mistake. If it is, it won't trigger, actually means it won't work perfectly. The size abaci value is 0. So you can have a size abaci if you want to make sure export happen perfectly, import happen perfectly, then go with the size abaci. If size abaci is 4, then export and import does not happen successfully because of some reason. Okay. And then the best part would be once you're done with usage of the memory, please clear your memory. It's a best practice once you start working with memory. So to free the space of that memory which is occupied by your memory ID is going to be free memory ID and ID name. Whatever name you're using, just use it here. And the another syntax would be delete from memory ID. Both are doing the same functionality here. Delete the space, delete whatever is occupied is going to be deleted from this syntax also. Delete from memory ID and then ID name. Okay, so this is the way which we are going to perform the internal internal communication between the memory. So that is called ABAP memory concept. Okay, and then the next one would be SAP memory. SAP memory is going to be the two different transactions. So advantage would be it's not necessary the second program is going to be execute once the or it's going to be called in the program 1. It's not like that. So program 1 is executing now. After some time I'm going to execute my program 2. Yes, this will work. Okay, so a very good example is normally the set parameter get parameter you might have seen in S11. If you enter MARA and press enter key, that particular screen field is associated with this parameter ID. So they are using the parameter ID is going to be the what do you call ID for this memory concept. So once you press enter, it's going to store in that parameter ID. And if you open SE16, automatically whatever names you enter in SE11, it's reflected in SE16 input box also, because the ID is same in SE11 and SE16. So that is the reason it's the whatever you entered in transaction SE11, it's reflected in SE16. Two different transactions, external transactions, right? So mostly set parameter ID, get parameter ID in SAP, it's used in a screen fields, and you can not only screen fields, you can use it in your program also. Okay, let's see it in today's session. And the syntax would be set parameter ID. You need an ID name for it within single quotes, and field name, field value. So this is going to be the value which we are going to send to the global parameter ID. Okay, this is maybe from program 1, and program 2 to receive the value from the global ID. So you can go with get parameter ID, ID name, field, and whatever field if you want. And on the flow you can declare this variable also. And then the another one is the same purpose. Suppose I want execute a program, after some time I want to read it. It's not an internal session. This is my scenario. So what can I do? So the one more step ahead is export. Okay. Technically it's very simple. Export concept means export to database index is nothing but there is a transparent table in SAP called INDX. Okay, once you're done with your export, automatically it's go and saved in the particular table, transparent table in a raw format. Okay, it's not, you're not able to see your values and all. And once you do the import, it read the particular table and read it, and after that whatever you want you can do it. So if you delete the memory space, it will delete the record from the particular transparent table. So this you can be replicate with a custom table also. So that is a way the database index works. So when I go with the database index, this one, if there's a two different transaction, you can go with the set parameter ID, or you can go with the export to database index concept as well. Okay. And the syntax would be import, and the same one, index name equal to variable, and from database index, and this is the customer value. Only 2 characters are allowed, and ID name. Okay, so the functionality would be same, is going to be keep it in a transparent table and we can read it. And to delete to free the memory, so delete from database index and whatever name you give, index name, id name. Okay, so this is a way the import with database index works. Clear? So if you want an internal session communication, go with import and export. And if you want an external session transactions between using a memory, go with either set parameter, get parameter if you are good with that, or you can go with export import with the help of database index concept. Okay, so this is about very simple of how to transfer the data between these two. We have a lot of additions in the same memory concept as well. Okay, and then yeah, that's it. Let's get into the system. So this is my program. So let me start with SAP memory first. Okay, is that okay? Start with SAP and then ABAP. Okay, so because I want to show you the simple set parameter how it works. Okay, I'm opening another transaction called SC11. So two different transaction I'm working with. So memory is coming under external transaction concept because I'm not going to call SC11 implicitly in my program. So here the idea is in SC11, I'm going to enter a table name and press enter. I will show you what is the parameter ID associated with that input field, table name input field. Once it enter, once any event triggered, automatically is going to be saved in the parameter ID, whatever is mentioned over there. Then from my custom program, I'm going to receive it using a keyword called get parameter ID concept. Okay, so I want to start with that set and get parameter between two transactions. Then I will start from ABAP memory, then continue with SAP memory also. Okay, let's take some time, just a minute. Okay, okay. So now let me check what is the parameter ID of this. Press F1 and go to technical settings. And here you're able to see what is the parameter ID of this particular field, input field, DTB. Okay, close it and enter some value and press enter. That is very important. Then only the trigger happen. EKKO, enter. That's it. Now go to my program. Write the syntax get parameter ID DTB value. Sorry, it's field data value, write LV value. Okay, toward it. Now execute your program to get EKKO. Okay, so if you change something over here, EKP, oh sorry, that's fine, EKOP, it's a spelling mistake, go back and execute EKOP. Okay, so this is the way the memory is happening. Okay, and the other way also you can do, what I can do is, let me do one thing, like set parameter ID. So for the same ID, I'm going to set a value from my program, and field I can say MAKT. That's so execution is very important. Then only it will go and save in the particular memory place, memory parameter ID. So I activated it. Let me execute it. Execute, fine, and then open it. Open the transaction SC11 MAKT. So this is a way the communication is happening between two different transactions. This transaction has its own sessions. Okay, let's start with ABAP memory now. This is just for your easy remembrance how we are handling with set and get parameter. Okay, okay, this is not required now. Now I'm going to export some values. Okay, so export, let me have a variable type character value ABAP memory. So I'm going to pass this variable to my memory ID. Memory ID is A12. Okay, so this is session. So what happens is I need another program and I'm going to receive this particular value in the second program. But that program to be interrelated with the first one means you have to call the program explicitly, because both the programs, this ABAP memory is going to be used on the internal session. So both the programs to be in the same session. So let me create one program quickly. So program 2, F5, executable program, save it. So now I'm going to receive the data from the memory with the help of import. So I need the same variable, the name also should be same. We'll type character 20. So import LV variable from memory ID A12. Okay, so let's see. I'm not calling implicitly the program, second program with the first one. Let's see how it works. Okay, so it should not receive any value, right? LV variable. So before executing program 2, I need to execute program 1 to keep the value in the memory place, in the memory ID. So my first program is here. ABAP memory is the value. I'm going to keep it in this one and act. Okay, let me do one thing. If say equal to 0, right? Success. Okay. Activate it. And I'm going to execute it. Execute. Yes. So it's added in the memory. If I go and execute my program, second program, you won't get anything because it's not in the internal session. So now both are in the different sessions, external sessions. So if I execute, I'm not getting anything. Okay, so now I need to call this. I want to make sure this needs to be in my same internal session. So I'm going to use submit keyword and call the same, means second program name. Second program name is _2. Okay. Simple submit statement. So I need to call, I want to make sure my second program also in the same internal session. If I execute, then it will go and call this particular program and execute the import parameter in the second program and then write statement. So everything is happening in one execution. Execute. So ABAP memory. This is a description you come to know. This is my second program, memory 2. Okay. So first program attribute as memory only. Okay. So this is a way you can make use of your ABAP memory. So ABAP memory is not only with programs, function modules, ABAP class and OO ABAP class and methods also you are able to make use of it. But only thing, you have to call the function module and you have to call the method in your first program. So then only all the objects are coming in the same session. So here this is my function module. Let me add the same statement like receiving the values from the memory. Okay, activate it. Yeah, I need to activate the function groups as well. Okay, 1 minute. So now call this function module from your program number 1. Call function. Okay, so let me comment this because I want to know only from the function module. So let me go here, right, from function module. Okay, activate it. Then go to your first program, call function, yes, activate it, and execute. So now what happens, program 1 and the function model is going to be in the same internal session. So the value is successfully transferred between object 1 to object 2. Both are in the same session. Okay. Same way you have to do the class and methods, but only the syntax is going to be changed. The same thing if you used in class and methods. Let's see what kind of syntax we have to use. This is my class. Let me have a method m1 instance public. Okay, go to source code and write the same set of code here and check it. You will get a syntax error because object oriented is not accepting this input, this way of import. Okay, and check it. Yeah, so they mention very clearly what needs to be done also. So import variable 1, variable 2 from memory ID is not supported in object oriented. So we have to use name 1 to variable, name 2 to variable. Okay, so one more additional thing to be added, and it's not even declared also. So the name need not to be declared. So what I'm going to do is, so here that is, I'm going to use the same name, LB variable. I'll give you the reason why I'm using same name. Let me correct this from class method toward it. So here I'm trying to clear the syntax error. It's active. Now go to my first program. Okay, so here object 1 is my first program, object 2 is function module, object 3 is my method. Okay, let me do one thing. Let me execute all the three, program, function module and class in the same internal session. Okay, that's what I used a return keyword here because I have a write statement in my second program. So here I'm going to add this is from program. Okay, so all three is going to be one session. Let's see how it works. Go to the first program, execute it. So this is from program ABAP memory. Go back. Then I have another write statement that is after my function module, and then this is inside my class, so that is also worked fine. So three different objects but all in one session, so it's able to access the memory one. And one additional point is, normally we used a name in the object oriented concept. We use the same value. It's actually a name, it's a variable. We used same name for name as well as the variable. But if you want to give a different one, I can say name. Okay, well, a variable, it works fine, but it needs to be changed in your program as well. Wherever you're using the export, you have to change the same way. Otherwise, you won't get the proper value. For example, let's see how it works. Activate and go to the first program. I changed only in the class level. Execute it. So this is from memory, it works. And here function module also works, class doesn't work because the name has been changed. So what you have to do is, you have to use the same thing over here also. Local variable name equal to variable activate. So here it's vice versa now. Now it's going to work for object oriented, not for program and function module. Let's see, execute it. So program is not working, and function module is not working, and class is working because we have to change the way which we receive the syntax. We have to change in the function module as well as the program. So here go ahead and use lv name equal to, okay, lv name, and this is my program. Activate it and do the same in the function module also. lv name equal to variable. act over it. So go to the first program, no change here, execute. Now it's working in the programming and working in function module as well as the object-oriented concept. So the best way or the feasible way of writing the export is always name with variable, not only with variable, because mostly we are moving to object-oriented concepts, and future they might have changed your function model to a class method. So better go with the recent or updated syntax. So always go with name and variable in the export and import concept. Okay, so this is about ABAP memory. Okay. One more I would like to show you is you can send the internal table content also. It's not only a variable values. So you can send some set of values, set of records. So let's start from Mara. It's very simple. Into table item. Okay. So instead of variable, sending your data medium. Which medium you want to send? Variable, work area, or excuse me, body of an internal table. So here I need to change my programs as well. So whichever is going to receive, let me do it only in my function module because I don't want to waste your time. So let me go to my function module, receive the values here, item type, table of Mara, instead of variable, let me go with item, and let me do the count equal to lines of item. Count. Okay, act over it. Then go to your first program, then execute it. So only I'm calling the function module, so it should show the count once it is received successfully. Yes, it's received, and this is the count of your, and this triggering from function module. It's count from the function module from your internal table. Okay, so it's not like only variable. Any data medium you are able to transfer with the help of this memory concept. So this is about ABAP memory, and the next one is we are going to see about SAP memory. Yeah, let me have a different program. SAP memory. I can say 4. Memory executable. So I have shown you set and get. That is going to be used for your normal program also. It's not you have to use only for screen fields. Let's see, like I'm saying set parameter id add, okay, and field value is SAP memory. Okay, I'm doing this in one program, and I'm going to receive this, means I'm going to use a get parameter in another program. So those are independent programs, and those is going to be work independently, means independent sessions, not in the same session. Fine. SAP memory executable, activate, sorry, save it. So here I'm going to use get parameter id, okay, add, okay, sorry, where I am here. So add and field, I can say data value. So in that I used a hard coded. It can be dynamic also. You can use a variable for that value. Okay, let's see. So first I need to execute my first program, then only it go and saved in a parameter id, then I can run the second program. So my first program is here and executed, done. I don't have any write statement. Then come to my second program. So here it is, execute. So it shows SAP memory. So two independent sessions interacting with the memory and get the values. Okay, so for this also we can use set parameter, get parameter, not only for screen fields. Screen fields, they are making use of this concept. So the next one is same concept. I'm going to use import and with database ID. Okay. Okay, so here I'm going to use the syntax export, and I'm going to use db index name. Actually, is name equal to variable. Same concept you're going to use. Okay, same format, and I'm going to use a variable. Let's go with the internal table directly. Data type table of EKKO. Select star from EKKO into table item. Okay, and then is going to be a database index, sorry, database index, and is going to be any two alphabets. Okay, I can say you can go with numbers as well. So AR, it's not case sensitive, AR, and then memory ID. This could be a dynamic. I'll go with GI. Okay. So here 1 second. ID. Yeah, that's it. Now, if you execute this, activate and execute this program, this ID is going to be saved along with this index name in INDX transparent table. Let's see that first, then we'll do the import in the second program. Go to SE16. Let's take time. So here INDX, and currently it doesn't have anything on my ID. Let's see. My ID is AR and JI, right? So AR and GI. Number of entries currently 0. Now I'm going to execute my program. Execute. It's done. So there is no message or write statement. Now if you see number of entries 290. Okay, yeah, because it's an internal table. Okay, so execute. Yes, it's saved in the raw format. Okay, so parameter ALB grid like this. Okay, now if you're going to read it from my another program, so the syntax import, what is the name? Better I copy paste it. Yeah, db index. Control C. So import db index equal to internal table. I want this internal table, data table type table of EKKO, and this is not to, this is from index. Everything is same. Okay, so let's have the count. Data we count equal to lines of body of an internal table. Write LV counts. Activate it. So here independent session, because I'm not calling this program from my initial or the previous one. So I'm directly executing my second program. Execute. So it shows SAP memory. Okay, 1 second. 14495. Okay, I don't want this. Okay. Activate. And execute it. So yes, 14,000 records. It's confirmed from EKKO. Come on. C16 EKKO. Total number of records, yes, 14,495, and here it's 14,495. Okay, so it works from the help of INDX table. Now, once you are done, and you're going to say delete. Okay, delete. What is the syntax? 1 minute. Delete from database index ID. Okay. So delete from, okay, I'm doing in the second program because after receiving we have to delete it. So delete from database index ER and then ID GI. Okay. Activate. So once if you execute the delete statement, then the table INDX will be empty for this combination AR and GI. Execute. 14,495. Now go to index. Sorry, this is EKKO. Over here, go to the index table, go back and find the number of entries 0 because it's removed it from your internal table. Okay, so this is a way the index works for the import with the database index concept, and database index concept is going to be used for 2 different independent sessions, especially if you want to run a function module in a background task. So background task never return any value back to your program because it's an independent task. So after the background task, if you want to read anything from that output of the function module, then you have to use this import database index concept, okay, to read the data from your function module which is running or which was running in your background mode. Clear? And then so the same way you have to use clear for other like ABAP memory also. So here if you click change. Okay, so once it is done, you can say free memory ID A12. This is syntax for this, or you can say delete from memory ID. So that also works. Delete from memory ID. Both are same. Okay, so this is a way you can transfer the data from one session to another session or one object to another object in the same session. So hope this might be useful for you. Just play around with this and just make use of it whenever required for you. Okay, so thank you so much for your time and see you in the next video. Bye.